My son tried to drug me on Christmas Eve, and he smiled when he did it. Jason handed me my mug first, steam curling above it like a blessing, then poured himself a second cup from the same carafe, settling into the chair across from me like this was just another Christmas. "Special blend, Mom," he said. "Decaf, and something extra. Brooke made it just for you. Something extra." He said it too carefully, too rehearsed, like a line he'd practiced in the car. 2 mugs, 2 spoons, 2 smiles. I reached for the mug anyway, because sometimes you survive by acting normal until you've moved the knife out of reach. And that's when I saw it. A manila folder half slid out of Brooke's purse, a yellow post-it stuck to the front in block letters. Dr. Chen, incapacity letter, Monday. Under that, a second line. Guardianship packet. My hand froze halfway to the handle. Incapacity, guardianship. Those were not words you wrote because you loved someone. I set the mug down lightly as if nothing was wrong. "You know what?" I said, bright and casual. "I forgot the sugar. Jason, honey, can you grab it from the kitchen? Top shelf. Big jar." Jason hesitated, just long enough for me to see it. The tiny flicker of, "Don't leave her alone." Then he turned and walked away. The moment his back was to me, I switched the mugs. Mine for his. Coffee for coffee. A motion as ordinary as passing a salt shaker. Brooke saw it. Her mouth opened, then closed again. If she protested, she'd have to explain why she cared which mug I drank from. So she swallowed her reaction, and her smile cracked like thin ice. Jason returned, sat, lifted the mug, my mug now, and took a long drink. He wasn't supposed to drink from that mug. He was supposed to take a small, safe, holiday sip to look normal while I drank the real dose. That's what his eyes told me the moment he swallowed. Surprise, then a flicker of alarm that he crushed under a laugh. "Drink up, Mom," Brooke said, voice too sweet. "While it's warm." I lifted the other mug to my lips and pretended to sip. I barely touched it, just enough to wet my mouth, and then I let it fall into a napkin in my lap, quiet and practiced, like a woman who'd learned long ago that dignity can be a disguise. Bitter, not coffee bitter. Bitter like a pharmacy. Chemical. Wrong. I kept smiling. I kept breathing. I kept my face calm because if I gave them fear, they'd use it as proof. 20 minutes later, Jason's words started slurring. 30 minutes later, he grabbed the wall to steady himself. His face went pale under his holiday cheer, sweat shining on his forehead like he'd run a mile. Brooke moved fast into the hallway, phone pressed to her ear, whispering in clipped panic. When she came back, she forced a laugh that was too loud. "He had too much eggnog," she announced. "You know Jason at Christmas. Always overdoes it." Jason hadn't touched the eggnog. The bottle was still sealed on my counter, ribboned like decoration. He tried to argue, but his tongue wouldn't obey. He leaned against the wall, blinking slow, like someone underwater. I sat perfectly still on the couch my late husband Carl and I bought 30 years ago, watching my only child struggle to stay upright, watching my daughter-in-law lie as smoothly as breathing. That coffee wasn't meant to warm me. It was meant to erase me, to make me look confused, to make me look incapable, to hand them a story to repeat to a doctor on Monday. At 9, I helped Jason into his coat with steady hands and a steady face. "You two should go," I said. "Wind's picking up. The last car ferry won't wait for anyone." Brooke searched my eyes, hunting for fear. Finding none made her jaw tighten. "We'll see you tomorrow for dinner," Jason mumbled, already half lost. "Of course," I said. "Tomorrow." I watched their SUV crawl down my gravel driveway, taillights fading into the island's Christmas glow. Then I locked the door. Deadbolt, chain, extra latch. I didn't sleep. I sat at my kitchen table and wrote down everything. The post-it note, the taste, Brooke's phone call, Jason's symptoms, the lie about eggnog, timestamps, exact phrases. The way Brooke's smile cracked when I switched the mugs. Carl used to joke that I was the calm one, the one who kept the Marina books and kept our life in balance. After his heart attack, I learned grief doesn't make you weak. It makes you careful. And tonight, careful was the only thing standing between me and whatever they planned to do with that folder in Brooke's purse. After midnight, my phone buzzed with a bank alert I had never received before, because I'd only turned on real-time alerts last week, after a suspicious customer service call that left a bad taste in my mouth. A transfer scheduled for Friday, $300, to an account I didn't recognize. My hands didn't shake. They went cold. Because at 68 years old, alone on an island where help came slow, I had just learned the truth. My family wasn't worried about my health. They were worried about my signature. At 2:37 a.m., I stood up, walked into Carl's old office, and opened the metal filing cabinet he called the worry box. If they wanted my signature, they were going to find out something first. I kept records. I kept proof. And I knew exactly where to start. Before sunrise, I would finally have answers. Carl's office still smelled of cedar and old paper. I hadn't touched much in 3 years. Tonight, I didn't have the luxury of nostalgia. I opened the filing cabinet drawer labeled Insurance, Legal, and pulled out the binder Carl and I kept updated for decades. Deed, will, policies, bank contacts, everything that mattered. The edges were softened from use, the kind of wear that came from a life built carefully, line by line. On top was a folder I recognized immediately, the same one Brooke had handed me last Easter. "Just updated paperwork for your health insurance, Evelyn," she'd said, smiling. Jason hovered behind her, impatient, joking that I was old school for keeping paper copies. Brooke slid a pen across my kitchen table like she was doing me a favor. I signed because I trusted my son and wanted the day to stay easy. Now I laid the pages under Carl's desk lamp and read every word the way I should have read them then. Durable power of attorney, not insurance, not forms, power. Financial authority, medical authority, residential decisions, and then the line that made my stomach drop. Effective upon determination of incapacity by a licensed physician. Not if I became incapacitated. Upon determination. One doctor's signature. One episode in front of the right person. One story repeated by the right mouths. The posted on Brooke's purse, Dr. Chen incapacity letter Monday, wasn't a note, it was a timeline. I found my signature on the last page, neat and unquestioning, anchored in ink. For a moment, I stared at it like it belonged to another woman. Someone softer, someone who still believed blood made you safe. Then I did what Carl trained me to do with any problem. I followed the paper. I pulled out my checkbook ledger, compared it to the new alert on my phone, and felt a cold certainty settle in. If they were stealing, they were doing it the smart way. Slow, quiet, amounts small enough to hide under groceries and utilities. A bleed, not a drain. I lined up the cards Carl had left tucked inside the binder like emergency exits. Dev Patel, branch manager, Pelican Key Credit Union. Carl's handwriting beside it, trust him. Marisol Vega, attorney. Her card was worn at the corners from years in my wallet. She'd held my hand at Carl's funeral and didn't look away when I fell apart. I checked the time, 3:12 a.m., too early to call, too late to sleep. So I made a list, dates, details. Every strange moment from the last 6 months, Brooke asking for copies of my paperwork, Jason offering to handle phone calls because banks confuse older people, Brooke mentioning a doctor friend who does evaluations, questions about my life insurance beneficiary, just to be safe, Jason asking what day my ferry usually ran, Brooke casually asking if I'd ever been dizzy in the mornings. Each memory clicked into place like a lock being turned from the outside. At 6 seconds on the dot, I called Marisol and left a message that probably sounded insane. "Marisol, it's Evelyn Hart. I need you today. Emergency." My phone rang 7 minutes later. "Evelyn," she said steady. "Tell me." I told her everything. The coffee, the post-it, Jason's symptoms, the folder from Easter, the words on the page, the bank alert that finally screamed out loud what my instincts had been whispering for months. She didn't argue. She didn't doubt. "Don't sign anything else," Marisol said. "Don't let them inside your house. If they show up, record everything. And I want you in my office at 9. Bring the documents. They're planning a doctor letter Monday," I said. "Incapacity, guardianship." "I believe you," she replied. "We're going to get ahead of this. One more thing," she added. "Go to your bank the moment they open, in person, and call your life insurance company too. If they have that document, they may already be moving money." After we hung up, I stood at my kitchen table and let myself feel it for one breath. The grief of realizing your child can look you in the eye and plan your disappearance. Then I swallowed it down. I didn't have the right to collapse yet. At 8:15, I rode the first ferry off the island with the binder on my lap like armor. The wind had kicked up overnight and the boat rocked as we cut across the gray water. I watched Pelican Key shrink behind me and thought, if they'd succeeded, I'd be the one rocking in a hospital bed. labeled and convenient. When we docked, my phone buzzed again. A new device had attempted to access my online banking. Denied. I tightened my grip on the binder and walked faster. On the sidewalk outside the terminal, I had 2 missed calls from Jason. No voicemail. Just the silent insistence of someone checking whether the trap had sprung. I didn't call back. I called Dev Patel's direct line instead and left my own message. Dev, it's Evelyn Hart. I need a full authorization review the moment you open. In person, please. Then I headed toward Marisol's office with the sun climbing behind the palm trees, my stomach hollow and my mind sharp. Monday was coming. But today belonged to me first. Because if Jason and Brooke wanted to turn me into a story about decline, I was going to turn them into a story about evidence. And evidence has a funny way of making liars suddenly forget how to smile. Dev Patel met me the moment the credit union doors unlocked. One look at my face and the binder under my arm, and he didn't waste time on small talk. Mrs. Hart, he said quietly, come into my office. I set Carl's binder on his desk and slid the durable power of attorney across first, then the photo I'd taken of Brooke's post-it. Dr. Chen, incapacity letter, Monday, guardianship packet. Dev's expression hardened. All right, he said. Let's see what they've touched. He pulled up my accounts, clicked into authorizations, and his cursor stopped. There's a third-party authorization on file, he said. Jason Hart. My stomach clenched anyway. What does that let him do? If the bank accepts the document, Dev said, he can initiate transfers, request changes, and attempt to access information. He opened transaction history and turned the screen toward me. Weekly transfers, he said. $300 every Friday, out to an external account registered to Jason. Since when? August 14th, Dev replied. Total so far, $14,400. A slow bleed, hidden in plain sight. That's not all, he continued, voice tightening. Your life insurance policy shows monthly cash value withdrawals, $400 each. And last month, there was an attempted beneficiary change, to Jason. It was rejected, but the attempt is documented. I stared at the numbers until they stopped looking like numbers and started looking like betrayal. Dev clicked again, and his face changed. There's a credit inquiry, he said. November 18th, a loan application in your name. What kind? Home equity line of credit, Dev answered. $150,000. The contact phone and email don't match your registered information. The room felt smaller. $150,000 against the house Carl and I bought in 1987. The house where I raised the boy who was now signing papers to take it. They were going to borrow against my home, I whispered. They were trying, Dev said. The loan is still in underwriting, but if you'd had a medical event, if a doctor documented decline, and they presented the POA, they could push it through. In my mind, I saw it like a play. Me dizzy, a paramedic, an intake form, Brooke's calm voice, Jason's concerned face. She's been forgetting things. It's for her safety. A doctor letter Monday. A signature I didn't understand. And then the house, our house, turned into a line item. I forced my voice to stay steady. Stop it. All of it. Now. Dev moved fast. He flagged my accounts for in-person verification only. He blocked phone and online access. He canceled the scheduled transfers. He initiated a fraud alert. He printed the loan application and highlighted the falsified contact information. Then he slid an affidavit across the desk to contest the loan. Sign, he said. And sign this one too. It revokes acceptance of third-party instructions effective immediately. I signed. Not because I wasn't afraid, but because fear had finally chosen a side. Dev printed everything. Transaction logs, denial records, the beneficiary change attempt, until the stack looked like a small book. When he handed it to me, it felt like evidence and ammunition. Mrs. Hart, Dev said, leaning forward, this looks like elder financial abuse. I'm required to file a report. That report helps you. It creates a paper trail they can't erase. I want it documented everywhere, I said. It will be, he promised. My phone rang as I reached my car. Marisol. I'm in my office, she said. Come now. On the drive, one thought kept repeating. They didn't just try to drug me. They'd been dismantling my life quietly for months, patient as rot. Marisol spread my papers across her desk, read them once, and nodded. We do 3 things, she said. First, we revoke that POA. Second, We lock down your insurance and any other assets. Third, we preempt their story with an independent competency evaluation. Today? I asked. Tomorrow at the latest, she replied, and not with a doctor who owes Brooke a favor. She made calls in front of me, calm and precise, then pushed her phone across the desk. You're going to tell your insurance company, in your own voice, that no changes are authorized without in-person verification and my written confirmation, she said. I did. I answered every security question. I heard the representative's tone shift when she realized I was clear, sharp, and not confused at all. By noon, the policy was locked. By 1, the POA revocation was drafted. By 2, I had an appointment with Dr. McBride for a comprehensive cognitive evaluation, an independent physician with no ties to my daughter-in-law. Marisol leaned back. Now, she said, tapping the evidence folder, we wait for their next move. As if the universe wanted to prove her right, my phone buzzed with a notification from the court portal. New filing. Petition for emergency guardianship. Filed by Jason Hart. Marisol read over my shoulder. Hearing set for Monday, she said, voice flat. 9 a.m. Key West. My throat tightened. We made copies of everything and uploaded them to Marisol's secure drive. Then I took the ferry back to Pelican Key with my evidence in my bag and a new rule in my head. No more privacy without protection. That night I changed my locks, checked Carl's video doorbell storage, and set my phone to record with one swipe. They're not planning, I whispered to the empty kitchen. They're already doing it. Outside, the ocean kept breathing like it always had. Inside me, the storm finally had a name. And it was my son. They came 2 days after Christmas. I saw Jason's SUV roll into my gravel driveway from the kitchen window. Brooke stepped out first, adjusting her sunglasses like she was arriving at brunch. Jason followed, shoulders tight, phone in hand. They'd brought the SUV over on the car ferry, like my island was just another place to access, not my home. And in the back seat, almost invisible, was Sophie. 13. Hood up, eyes tired. They didn't knock. They tried the doorknob. It didn't turn. I'd changed the locks. Jason pounded. Mom, open up. I tapped my phone to record and checked Carl's video doorbell. Blue light on, cloud storage running. Only then did I open the door 6 inches. Chain still latched. Jason's smile popped into place. There you are. We've been calling. I've been busy, I said. His smile flickered. You sent us home on Christmas. You won't answer. Brooke's worried. I'm worried. This isn't like you. Brooke stepped closer, voice sweet and rehearsed. Evelyn, we love you, but you're isolated out here. You're forgetting things, bills, appointments. I'm not forgetting anything, I said. Jason's tone sharpened. You're being paranoid. No, I corrected. I'm being careful. Brooke's smile thinned. Careful from your own family? Jason lifted his phone like it was evidence. We talked to Dr. Chen, he said. He's available Monday. I kept my face calm. Available to write an incapacity letter. Silence, the kind that confesses. It's to help you, Brooke said quickly. Sometimes older people don't notice when they're declining. I let her say it while my camera drank in every word. Jason tried softer. Mom, you can't live alone anymore. You're isolating yourself and making irrational decisions. I went to the bank, I said. Both of them went still. I met with a lawyer, I added. Brooke's eyes flashed. Jason's jaw clenched. Sophie's gaze flicked up, frightened. Jason forced a laugh. What? You think we're stealing from you? I know someone has been, I said, steady. For a second, Brooke's mask slipped, and I saw the anger underneath the concern. Then she leaned in, voice low and cold. If you won't cooperate, Evelyn, she said, we'll involve the authorities, the court. We don't want to, but we will, for your safety. There it was, the squeeze. Please leave, I said. Jason stared at me like I'd betrayed him. Mom, leave my property, I repeated. He backed away, breathing hard. Brooke grabbed his arm and pulled him toward the SUV. As they turned, Sophie looked at me over her shoulder. Her eyes were red. They drove off. I locked the door and stood with my back against it until my heartbeat slowed. 20 minutes later, a soft knock came at the back door. Sophie, alone. I pulled her inside and locked up again. She looked around like she expected Brooke to appear, then yanked her phone from her pocket with shaking hands. I have something, she whispered. She didn't mean for me to get it. She opened her messages, fingers trembling, and showed me a voice note. Brooke's name at the top. Sophie's own number underneath, like a mistake that had finally turned into mercy. Sophie pressed play. Brooke's voice filled my kitchen, sharp and furious. The coffee plan failed. She didn't drink it. A pause. Jason's muffled voice in the background. Then Brooke again, colder than winter water. We pivot. Dr. Chen writes the letter Monday. Emergency guardianship. We just need her to look unfit once in front of the right person. Jason. And if she won't cooperate? Brooke. 72-hour hold. Evaluation. By the time she's out, we'll have control. House, accounts, everything. The message ended. Sophie's face crumpled. I'm sorry, she sobbed. I didn't know my dad could... I pulled her into my arms. You did the right thing, I said. You saved me. When she could breathe again, she whispered. They filed something. I saw papers. Court. Monday morning. Key West. They said you wouldn't stand a chance because you live alone. That night, Marisol sat at my kitchen table with the bank records, the POA, and Dr. McBride's evaluation, signed and stamped, showing I was clear and competent. She listened to the voice note twice and nodded. Between this, the financial trail, and the medical evaluation, they don't have a case, she said. They have a scheme. What do they have? I asked. Confidence, Marisol replied. They think you'll be scared. They think you'll fold. I looked at Sophie's small hands wrapped around a mug of safe cocoa and felt something hard settle into place inside me. We're not folding, I said. We spent the weekend turning fear into preparation. Marisol drafted my formal response and printed 3 sets of everything. One for the judge, one for their attorney, one for us. She had Sophie write a statement in her own words about the voice note and why she saved it. We packaged the evidence so it couldn't get misplaced. We numbered pages. We labeled timestamps. I practiced answering questions out loud. My routine, my finances, my health, my volunteer work at the marina office, the neighbors who checked on me, the ferry schedule that proved I wasn't trapped without care. On Sunday evening, I called my neighbor, Mrs. Larkin, and told her only this. If I didn't return Monday, call Marisol. Sophie stayed the night in Carl's guest room. I lay awake listening to the ocean, repeating one promise. They would not take my name from my life. Not with papers. Not with lies. Not with coffee. Key West smelled like sun and exhaust and salt, the way a place near water always does. Beautiful on the surface, indifferent underneath. The courthouse smelled like old wood and recycled air, the kind of place where people's lives got filed under case numbers. Marisol and I walked in with Sophie between us, her hand gripping mine like she was afraid I'd vanish if she let go. Jason and Brooke sat with their attorney, Marcus Webb. Expensive suit, confident smile. Brooke wore pearls and a concerned face that looked practiced in a mirror. Jason kept his eyes down, jaw tight, like shame could protect him from consequences. Judge Patricia Moreno entered. She looked at the file once and didn't look impressed. Petition for emergency guardianship, she said. Mr. Webb, proceed. Webb rose smoothly. Your Honor, this is heartbreaking. Mrs. Evelyn Hart is a 68-year-old widow living alone on a remote island with limited access to care. In recent weeks, she has become paranoid and erratic. My clients, her devoted son and daughter-in-law, seek guardianship solely to protect her and ensure safety. He offered their proof. A letter from Dr. Chen suggesting age-related decline, claims that I had abandoned family on Christmas, that I refused evaluation, that I was making irrational financial decisions. He spoke like compassion and control were the same thing. When he finished, Judge Moreno's gaze shifted to me. Mrs. Hart, she said evenly, how do you respond? I stood. My voice did not shake. I respond that every word of that petition is a lie designed to steal my home and my independence. Webb's smile tightened. Marisol rose. Your Honor, we have documentation that shows this petition is not concern, she said. It's a plan. She built the case like a wall, piece by piece, but she didn't present it like a list. She made the truth breathe. First, she said, holding up the document, the power of attorney. Mrs. Hart was told this was insurance paperwork. She signed under false pretenses. It grants sweeping authority upon a vague determination of incapacity. a determination the petitioners were preparing to obtain on Monday. Webb objected. Judge Moreno lifted a hand. Continue. Marisol placed the photo of Brooks post-it on the evidence stand. Big letters, clean ink, a timeline on a sticky note. Judge Moreno's eyes narrowed. Second, Marisol said, the financial trail. The statements appeared, the transfers, dates, amounts. Jason's head snapped up when the total was spoken out loud, $14,400. Brooks' face went stiff, like a mask suddenly too tight. Third, Marisol continued, attempted exploitation of the home. She placed the loan application in front of the judge, highlighted contact info, a phone number that wasn't mine, an email address I'd never used. Judge Moreno looked at the highlighted section, then looked at Jason. Did you submit this application? Jason didn't answer. His lawyer touched his elbow as if to steady him. Fourth, Marisol said, medical truth. Dr. McBride's evaluation, scores, notes, clear language, oriented, competent, no impairment. Webb tried to speak. Judge Moreno silenced him with a glance. And fifth, Marisol said, turning gently to Sophie, their own words. Sophie stood, trembling. She sent it to the wrong person, she said, voice small but clear. It came to my phone. I saved it because I got scared. Webb snapped. Objection. Overruled, Judge Moreno said. Play it. Brooks' voice filled the courtroom. The coffee plan failed. She didn't drink it. A ripple moved through the benches, people shifting, heads turning. Then, we pivot. Dr. Chen writes the letter, Monday, emergency guardianship, and then the line that made the air go sharp. By the time she's out, we'll have control. House, accounts, everything. When it ended, silence sat heavy on every bench. Judge Moreno looked directly at Jason and Brooke. Do you have anything to say? Jason opened his mouth, then shut it. His throat worked like he was swallowing glass. Brooke tried. We were only trying to help. By discussing a hold as a tactic? Judge Moreno interrupted. By coordinating a letter? By taking money? By attempting to borrow against a home you do not own? Brooke's pearls suddenly looked like props on a stage that had collapsed. Webb tried to recover. Your Honor, families misunderstand. This is not a misunderstanding, Judge Moreno said. This is exploitation. She looked down at her notes, then spoke with the weight of law. Petition denied. Mrs. Evelyn Hart has demonstrated clear competency and sound judgment. The petitioners have demonstrated neither integrity nor good faith. Jason's face went gray. I am ordering the power of attorney voided effective immediately, she continued. I am issuing an order prohibiting Jason Hart and Brooke Hart from contacting Mrs. Hart except through legal counsel. And I am referring this matter for investigation of elder abuse, fraud, and attempted financial exploitation. The gavel came down like a door locking. Outside, Sophie cried into my shoulder on the courthouse steps. I'm sorry, she whispered. You saved me, I told her. You did the right thing. Jason and Brooke walked past without looking. But as Jason got into his SUV, I saw it in his eyes. Not remorse, anger. Marisol touched my shoulder. It's over, she said. I watched the SUV disappear into traffic and felt a calm I didn't expect. No, I said softly. It's just begun. Because a person who tries to erase you doesn't stop wanting power just because a judge said no. They just look for a different door. And this time, I plan to be standing behind every lock. Back on Pelican Key, the island looked the same. Palm shadows, white fences, ferries running their routes. But everything had changed. Within a week, the numbers began to reverse. Dev Patel called first. We reversed the unauthorized transfers, he told me. $14,400 restored. The loan application has been rejected, flagged as fraud, and documented with your affidavit. The life insurance company followed. Beneficiaries confirmed. Withdrawals frozen and investigated. A hard lock placed on the policy. No changes without in-person verification, my signature, and Marisol's written confirmation. Marisol didn't let victory make us careless. She came to my kitchen table with a fresh stack of papers. We rebuild the fortress, she said. She drafted a new trust, clear, ironclad, Sophie as primary beneficiary, Tyler, Carl's nephew, as trustee, and a clause that made me smile. Any contest triggers legal fees paid from the challenger's share. Fight me, and you pay for the privilege. Jason and Brooke received nothing. Not as revenge, but as protection. I finally understood the difference between family and people who share your blood. Sophie stayed with me for a while. We kept it simple. Schoolwork at my dining table, dinner at 6, walks to the marina when the wind calmed. Some nights I heard her crying behind her bedroom door. I didn't force words. I just stayed present, the way I wished someone had stayed present for me when Carl died. 2 weeks after the hearing, the next move came. Because schemes don't stop, they change shape. A woman appeared at my door with a clipboard and calm eyes. "Mrs. Hart, I'm Sarah Collins. We received a report of possible self-neglect." I almost laughed. I opened the door wide and smiled politely. "Let me guess," I said. "The report came from Brooke Hart. I can't disclose the source," she replied gently. "But I do need to ask questions." "Come in," I said. We sat in bright afternoon light. She asked about my routine, my medications, my support system. I answered clearly. Sophie did homework at the table, living proof that I wasn't the helpless widow they described. My kitchen was clean, my pantry was stocked. My calendar was full of small, ordinary things that add up to a life. Library volunteer hours, marina bookkeeping, book club with 3 widows, Sunday phone calls with friends. Then I handed Sarah a folder. The court order, bank statements, the attempted loan, the POA revocation, Dr. McBride's evaluation, and a printed transcript of the voice note. Sarah read in silence. When she looked up, respect flickered across her face. "Mrs. Hart," she said, "I don't see evidence of self-neglect. I see someone managing exceptionally well. Tell that to whoever filed the report," I said calmly. "I will," she replied, voice firmer, "and I'll document this as a retaliatory false report." After she left, I stood in my doorway and felt something loosen in my chest. They had tried to turn help into a weapon, and still, I was standing. Spring came early to Pelican Key. Carl's bougainvillea bloomed purple against our fence. I started painting again, watercolors of fairies and sunsets. I volunteered at the library. I let the island's ordinary days stitch me back together. Sophie came every other weekend after she returned to school on the mainland. Therapy helped her name what her parents had done. Sometimes she asked questions that hurt in the clean, honest way only children can. "Do you miss them?" she asked once on my porch. I stared out at the water and chose the truth. "I miss who I thought they were," I said. "I don't miss who they actually are." On my 69th birthday, a letter arrived with no return address. An Arizona postmark. The handwriting was Jason's. I knew it the way you know a song you used to love. "Mom, I know you won't forgive me. I'm not asking you to. I think about the house sometimes. About Dad. About what we used to be. Maybe one day we can talk. Jason." I read it twice. Then I filed it behind the court order, because that's what it was now. Another document in the truth of my life. The no contact order meant silence. No surprise calls, no guilt texting, no footsteps on my porch. When Jason's number flashed once, I let it ring into emptiness and saved the screenshot. Silence, I learned, can be safety. I didn't write back. Some doors, once closed, need to stay closed, not out of hate, but out of wisdom. That afternoon, I stood in Carl's garden and let the wind carry my words across the water. "I kept it, Carl," I said. "The house, the life, everything we built. They didn't take it. I live alone on an island where the ferries run twice a day and the neighbors know your name. My husband is gone. My son made his choices. But I have a granddaughter who calls every Sunday, a lawyer who checks in like family, and a home that is finally fully mine. They thought age made me weak. They forgot it also made me wise. Boundaries aren't punishment. They're protection. Dignity isn't inherited. It's defended. And survival, that's a choice you make every single day. I made mine on Christmas Eve, the moment I switched those mugs. And I'll keep making it every morning I wake up in the house Carl and I built, surrounded by the life I fought to keep. If you're a mother, a grandmother, someone who's ever been underestimated because of age or grief or trust, you're stronger than they think. And you're not alone. This is my story. What's yours?